What is up, YouTube? Today we're back with another Ethereum restart video going over Ninfonial and Batsby as you saw in the thumbnail. And before we start the video, I do want to thank Ethereum for sponsoring me and this video. So if you guys are interested in trying Ethereum, use my code in the description or in the pinned comment. Now, with that being said, I do want to kind of just jump right into things because I have a lot of thoughts that I want to kind of share with you and see what you think, right? Let me know in the comments if you think that, I'm completely wrong or you disagree or you like the unit or whatever, okay? I'm going to start with Ninfonial, okay? Ninfonial, I'm going to be honest, I feel like I don't even know what her intended purpose is, right? Her S1 gives herself ER. She's not a high damage dealer. Her multipliers aren't insane. Why does she need, a res buff for herself? I don't get it, right? Her S2 has a little bit of healing for the entire team, but as a odd anima, is she going to replace the role of, say, like a Lingluo? No. If you need healing, are you going to go with this unit, Nanfanyo, or are you going to go with Lingluo or Sonya or Fuchu or whatever, right? Obviously, you're going to go with the latter, right? And her S3, I feel like, is just really weird because she grants attack buff to the whole team, and then her unique buff in Rhyme Bloom, which is basically like a barrier along with the attack buff, and one turn immunity. I would say that she has potential if she was able to, turn meter push up the entire team, right? You can be like a cleave enabler to put attack buff on all your units and 20% turn meter. That would be amazing, right? Then I would know that she fulfills the role as a enchanter, as an attack buffer, as a turn meter pusher. Makes a lot of sense, right? Make it like a Sukiyo that can AoE team push your entire team with attack buff. That makes sense. But when you just give attack buff, immunity, barrier to your team with no turn meter manipulation whatsoever, and then your S2 has healing, and then you get res buff on S1, it makes no sense, right? Now, I will say, if her attack buff was actually like defense buff, then it would make a lot of sense, right? Like for tank down players, it makes a lot of sense, right? You get the immunity for your team, you get Rhyme Bloom, you get defense buff, so that defense scalers like a Holden, like a Rahu in a tank down setup is going to be able to benefit off that defense buff and also get that supplemental healing on the S2, sorry. Then it makes a lot of sense, right? You almost like supplemental healing along with a defense buff enabler that helps you stay alive, right? Because in most cases, defense buff is almost like serving the role of like a Valerian or a Viper, where it's basically like having damage mitigation, right? Like having some kind of mitigation as like a some kind of damage transfer unit is very optimal, right? If you're trying to play, anti-aggression, but it's not. So it just, I don't understand what the kid is. I don't know what her intended purpose is. I don't know if she's supposed to clear some kind of PvE content. I don't know. Maybe you guys know better than I do, but to me, like as I'm already like farming Inferno Rango every day, she doesn't solve that problem. She doesn't solve any of the RTA matchup problems of turn two. Like how Lilium did, right? Lilium applied like injury, put the game on a timer, had a lot of damage. You can put it on Law of Silence and be like a solo carry, solo anchor. Makes sense in the meta. But Ninfoniel just doesn't do anything, in my opinion. So let me know in the comments if you disagree. I don't know. Now, Ninfoniel aside, I want to talk about Batsby. Okay, now Batsby does look like a character that I do like from E7, which is Ludwig, but I think his kit is actually quite unique, right? Especially for me. If you guys haven't watched my account review video that I just posted recently, his S3 is going to have AoE damage, which is going to inflict a vulnerability for 2 turns, which means we increase the damage taken by 30%. Now, typically with anyone that has vulnerable in their kit, you're going to want them to kind of like go first or second, right? So for example, if I'm able to have a debuffer open, strip off bulwark, and then I apply vulnerable and then throw my damage out, right? Or my revelation or whatever it is, right? Then it makes sense, right? I almost kind of think of it as like Freya, right? With her passives and having enemy units take more damage, right? So it is a little bit weird that he gets vulnerable, but it makes sense, right? He has AoE damage, and for every 1 unit with crit landed, Batsby gains 20% turn meter. So what does that mean? In my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put this guy on momentum. I'm going to make him do like hella damage because he's going to be able to have debuff extension and do a ton of damage. And I'm already going to be looking to have him follow up in like after my debuffers, right? Like the Heinrichs, like the Opals, like the Kloss, like Mia for, or sorry, not Mia, like Holden, for example. All right. Or just any like defense break if possible. Right. Now, one thing I am a bit curious about is like the 100% chance to extend all debuffs on the target. I don't know if this will like ignore effect resistance. So like if I actually stick debuffs on already with other units, say like a Kazuyo or Opal, like does it actually extend the debuffs? Like, do I need effect accuracy on this unit? Because his damage multipliers makes it seem like I probably need him to do a lot of damage. So if I'm going on a momentum set with high damage, I'm probably not going to have any effect accuracy. So hopefully it won't really make a difference in how I'm planning on using him, which is like a follow-up after either like a cleave or a control setup. So hats off to Etheria for making this unit. At least it can kind of deal with some of the issues that I'm having in the meta, which is good. Okay. Now, S1 inflicts wound, which is obviously nice, right? You can stop a lot of the healing from a lot of units like Ling Luo, Sonya, Fuchu. So that part I love, no problem whatsoever. Okay, and obviously, if the target's affinity is countered by Bat Bees and they're the main target of the skill, damage levels increase to 30%, which means that any reason anima, which is like fire, right, will basically take more damage stacking up to 6 times, which is kind of cool. But there's not a lot of like reason DPS or reason tank units that are actually super meta apart from maybe like Veronica. So I mean, I don't think I would, if I see Veronica, I'm not thinking like, oh, like it's a Batsby angle, right? So that's besides the point. Now, another thing I want to talk about, and like, maybe I sound crazy, but I really don't understand why we're getting more odd units or anima. Like, Nin Fanyo doesn't cover the job of Ling Luo as a healer. She doesn't cover the job of a enabler that can set up a cleave like a Tsukiyo. So what role is she supposed to fulfill? I don't know. For Batsby, right, he is a odd DPS. His kit is a little bit unique in the sense that he has a debuff extension that other odd DPS units like a Shada, like a Rosa, doesn't have, right? They don't do the same thing. But if I need raw AoE DPS or just DPS in general, like I'm gonna pick up Shada or I'm gonna go Rosa, I'm gonna go balls to the wall on Revelation or something like that, right? So I don't think we actually need another odd DPS character added to the game. Call me crazy. I actually think that Reason is in dire need of a DPS unit, right? The only characters that can really do damage is Leon, and I mean we all know, like, come on, after Animus Fate, like are we really building Leon? No, we're not, right? Chloros is a little bit unique, but I don't think a lot of people have him built, and I don't even have him owned. And I think he has some really unique damage, which is not like just straight up like a Shada or a Rosa, where it's just raw damage, right? So I think Reason is definitely in need of a DPS unit, like a Rosa, like a Shada, like a Batsby. So hopefully in the future they add it. And even in Hollow, right? Like the only DPS character that you really have is Hoyen and Romoka. And Romoka is designated to be like a Doki one-shot unit, and Hoyen is obviously like an anti-cleave one-shot that doesn't even work anymore because every single unit has Bloodbath on, and you can't even one-shot them. So Hoyen can't even like do her job properly, right? And there's just so many ways of like countering her now, right? But anyhow, I think it's going to be really hard to build both odd units at the same time as well, just because we're not going to have enough promotion material. Just because usually with GP Outpost with the double drop event, I'm only farming enough to build one unit, not two of the same element. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. Maybe I sound crazy. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments. But I really hope that they add another DPS for Reason or Hollow. And I'm excited to use Batsby and try them out and test them on stream. So if you guys are going to be around tomorrow, go ahead and check out my Twitch. I'll be streaming Ethereum to try out Batsby and do all my pulls. And I'll report back and let you guys know how it feels after I use them. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye. Also, use my link in the description or pinned comment to download Etheria if you want to support the stream. And thank you, Etheria, for sponsoring today's video. Bye!